Hi everyone, this is James and I am about to conduct this week's Oracle Outlook video reading. If this is your first time here, I'd like to say welcome, and if you're a returning viewer and subscriber, I'd like to say thank you for circling back, welcome back, and if you've subscribed to the channel, thank you so much for taking that extra step to subscribe. Well, over the course of the week, I've had another uptick in subscribers. So if you watched last week's video, I said that when I got to a milestone of 5,000 subscribers, I would go ahead and conduct a live using the deck on the table, which is my beloved Mitchell Fortune Telling Oracle. Here's the box. And if you're here for the first time, the Mitchell Fortune Telling Oracle is a loving blend of cards from the Lenormand system, cards from the Kipper system, and cards from the Bohemian card system, also known as Gypsy cards, with some of my own creations thrown into the mix. It is a 55 card hybrid. And so the reason for the combination of systems is that over time on this channel, people were really encouraging me to spotlight or highlight Kipper, and even so much so that people strongly encouraged me to consider writing a book on Kipper. And then some other viewers, I was going to say audience members, but I'll use that, audience members, also at the same point in time were also asking me to work with the Bohemian cards more. And so to kind of come to some resolution about that conflict in my mind, I created a conflict over it in my mind, like which system do I choose going forward. I had an aha moment through a dream that why not just blend them all? So that's what happened. And so this actually has become one of my favorite decks to work with. So because I'm nearing the milestone that I mentioned, I figured I would go ahead and work with a line of 5, a single line of 5, because that would be what I would be working with during that live that's coming up at some point in the future. So this is kind of like a sneak peek of what you could experience in that live. Okay, with that out of the way, let's go ahead and shuffle the cards and deal them out. Alright, so now the cards have been shuffled, cut, dealt, and assembled into the line that we're going to be looking at. And so I'm going to do a little bit of a twist than what I normally do with the line of 5. I normally just read them in positional, well, in relationship to each other, I should say. But I'm going to read them with positional meanings. I learned this when I was working with Oracle cards. And so each card in the line is going to have a positional meaning. So the first card is going to represent the origin or the situation or why we're asking the question that we're asking. And so the question, because I didn't mention it yet, is going to be, what do we need to know about the upcoming week? Right, so this is going to be the situational card. Next card could be, what could we possibly expect? The middle card is usually a hidden influence or the heart of the matter because it's in the middle of the line, or the central issue or focus. Fourth card is guidance or advice, and then the last card would be a potential outcome. So that's, I'm going to read the cards in positional meanings, and then I will also, based on the card, keeping with the systems that I mentioned, they may offer directional cues or some other kind of meaning or function that will kind of shift the narrative. Okay, so with that in mind, I'm going to start with the card on the very left here of the line. And opening the lineup, we have this card. I love this card. So the man card, if you're familiar with Lenormand, this would be like the gentleman. If you're familiar with Kipper, this would be main person 1. And if you're familiar with the Bohemian cards, this would be the lover card. So in all of those systems, this would represent a male significator, right? And so what we have is we have a directional cue. So he is looking at the rest of the line. So this would be what we call line of sight. So if you are a man watching this video, this card would represent you, and then what you could have to look forward to over the course of the week, because that's the context of the reading, right? Now, if you're a woman and you're watching this, then this would be a man who's going to be playing an important role or a significant role in a situation that would be unfolding for you, because he's in the situational spot. Now, for some people, it could be also, if I said, like, why are we asking the question that we're asking, we may be asking the question about a man's involvement in a situation, like what role or part does he play, or why is he involving himself in a particular situation or experience. Yes? Now, my particular man card in this deck offers another meaning, and it goes with the yellow shirt that he is wearing. This is a nod to the sun, and specifically the sun in the Lenormand system, because I don't have a sun card in this deck, and I still wanted to have some kind of signal or nod or cue to that card. And in the Lenormand system, the sun card is all about, a positive outlook, clarity, illumination, enlightenment. Since he's wearing the shirt, it could be somebody who has a sunny demeanor or disposition, yeah? Or, a person who always looks on the bright side, yeah, kind of thing. Or somebody who is described as somebody who's bright, like intellectually bright, right? So there's all those kinds of things that would be attributed if I were to include the sun aspect of this particular card. And the sun card in Lenormand is also about a card about success, right? So it could be a man who's considering how could he become more successful. He's wearing a yellow shirt, adopting a more successful role, right? Or maybe a more positive attitude throughout the course of the week. So those are some additional elements of the man card. But I love seeing this because the man card has been showing up in spots where it would offer he's either playing a central role or part in a situation. So I'm finding it like a funny aha from the universe. Okay, so this is the man card. Now next, he's looking at the next card, the immediate card here, and it's in the position of what we could possibly expect. And at this point, I should say that my disclaimer when I'm doing these general readings is that not 100% of what's said or translated by me from the cards is going to resonate with everyone who's watching. So you're being encouraged to take what does resonate and just kind of just put the rest aside, just leave it on the table, so to speak. Okay, so now what we could possibly expect over the course of the week. So now here we have tree. So tree is a card of growth and development, because trees take time to grow and develop. And with that idea about taking time, this is a card about patience. So if we're looking at something that's growing and developing, we may have to remind ourselves, the man, reminding ourselves that things take time. And this is going to be like we are expected to be patient with something that's growing and developing. So there's that. Now, tree is also a card of healing. And so in the Lenormand system, when we have a significator card and then a card like tree coming after it, this could be something that describes the man. So going with that in mind, some descriptors for tree regarding to the man could be a person who's healthy, because tree is a card of health and healing. So this could be a healthy man or a man who's a healer, right? So now for some people, this could be seeing a man who is practicing some form of healing, right? For other people, the tree card is also about our extended family, if you go with the idea about family tree. So this could be a man who's looking at his genealogy, his ancestry. This is a card of ancestors for me. And this reminds me of just last night. I was on Ancestry.com because I had used that platform, among others, to explore my ethnicity. Because my own personal story, I don't know my family background or history because of my situation with my parents, but I don't want to delve too far into that and get off track here. But I was just on Ancestry last night looking at my ethnicity estimates because Ancestry just recently updated them. And so I wanted to see how that changed my initial results. And so I was just on there last night. So some people may be exploring their genealogy or working on their family tree, that kind of situation. And there may be a man who's playing a role in that. So it could be a man who's specifically doing that, or there's going to be a man who is playing a role or part in that in terms of extended family, right? Because the tree, again, is about extended family, right? Or a man is looking at his well-being, and there may be something hereditary playing a role or a part in that. And I have to throw my other disclaimer here that I am not a medical practitioner or a professional. So, but I'm seeing here the possibility of looking at someone's well-being, and it could be as a result of something hereditary, or maybe just to keep an eye on something that may be growing and developing in that regard, right? Okay, that's what I want to say about tree. But tree in and of itself, in the position of what we could expect something to grow and develop, but it may take time, and we may need to be patient, and it may involve a man. Okay, so now the middle card, remember, is the hidden influence, or what is at the heart of the matter, or the central issue or focus. And here we have lightning. Okay, so now lightning, I would call this more of a hidden influence, because the lightning card is a card that talks about shocks or surprises or some kind of disruption, right? And so the man going forward, if we have him looking this way, so immediately we have a potentially growing and developing situation, right? That maybe either has taken time to grow and develop, or is going to take time to grow and develop. And at the heart of the matter here, it comes as a result of a shock or a surprise or some kind of disruption. Now, if we're talking about health and healing, this may be something that, comes as a shock or surprise that involves someone's well-being. Now, if this is about someone's growth and development, let's say spiritually speaking, because the tree can also be about spiritual growth and development, then this could be like getting a flash of insight. Because the lightning would suggest like something that comes out of nowhere, or out of the blue, or all of a sudden, right? So those are descriptors of the lightning card, something that's sudden, unexpected, but it's also about a flash of insight. Something that becomes so clear, but it comes in an instant or in a moment. But it could also be something that's going to be quite disruptive, right? And with the storm in the background, it could be like moving towards a stormy period, right? If we go with the idea that, again, that the man is looking this way, so these are things that could be coming up for him down the line. And that pun is intended. Now, the function of this card, because every card, if you notice, has a different colored border. So the green border of the tree represents health, healing, well-being. Here, the orange, this is coral orange. This is a card of movement. And so the way I designed it is that the lightning card, the movement comes down. So I may feel inclined to put a card here and then here to see what the movement is. But that is lightning, the meanings of lightning. And I should say, for me, I got the lightning card, the idea of the lightning card from the Gypsy Witch fortune-telling oracle system. That's another system that I love working with. And actually, I designed my own pack of Gypsy Witch cards as well. But the movement goes this way. Okay, and so now we're moving to guidance or advice. So at this point, I would say, as a reader, I've come to the belief or the philosophy in my practice, either for myself or when I'm reading for other people, that the cards are not the boss of you, which means that they don't tell you what you need to do, should do, ought to do. The cards offer, for your consideration, guidance and advice, and empower you to decide whether or not you're going to take up that guidance or advice and take action on it. Right? So here, with that in mind, here we have sadness, And so sadness is a cause and effect card, right? But here, in terms of guidance or advice, let me give you the meaning of it first. This card can turn up to suggest some kind of upset, sadness, or disappointment. So it could be, in terms of guidance or advice, like managing your emotional well-being, right? In terms of getting upset, sad, or being disappointed with a situation. It can also represent someone who tends to fall on the melancholy side of life, right? And dealing with that. And it makes sense, if I read order of the cards, that this card would come as a result of lightning, right? If we read order of the cards going left to right, here we have the shock, surprise, disruption. What happens then? Then we have upset, disappointment, sadness. Right? So again, line of sight, this could be what the man is going to be facing. Right? So due to some shock, surprise, disruption, there's going to be upset, sadness, or disappointment. Now, the way the function of the card works, this is a coral orange card, so like I said, it's cause and effect. And the way it works is that behind the woman, this card, the potential outcome card, would be the cause of the upset, sadness, disappointment. The lightning card actually would be the result or the effect. So going with that in mind, if this is the effect, then it would be something that's going to affect, or a shock, surprise, disruption is going to have an effect going forward. And so now with that in mind, I'm really feeling the need to draw additional cards to see more about this. Okay, so here I would say this is about managing our emotional well-being, right? And sadness and treat night to each other. This is about health, well-being. What kind? Emotional. Okay, and then the potential outcome card is home and family. Okay, so now here we have, interestingly enough, we have the extended family card tree, and then the immediate or nuclear family card, home and family, right? So this could be something about a family member, something close to home, something having to do with home life, domestic affairs, that kind of thing. That's the cause behind, remember, cause behind the emotional upset, sadness, disappointment, and then the effect is some kind of shock, surprise, disruption. Right, so the sadness card can shift the narrative a little bit. So we have two directional cue cards, man card and sadness. But now coming back to this as a potential outcome. So this could be reaching a state of comfort, because the house card can represent comfort. It could also be about something that has to do with real estate, property. So for some people, there may be a change in location or housing. With the lightning card and the home and family card, if I mirror them, this could be somebody who may find themselves suddenly needing to move. In the more challenging sense, this could be a card about eviction. That pairing, I should say. Right? Or if someone is looking at real estate, property, right? Because he could be looking at real estate or property going that way. Then this could be lightning and home and family might be looking at things with the real estate property in question. There may be things to consider like the wiring or the electricity, lightning. Also to the plumbing, and also to maybe issues involving the roof of the home or the building. So usually when I get this pair, those are the three things I usually point out. So again, it would be something involving the roof, wiring or electrical, and the plumbing. Right? but there could also be something involving either immediate family or extended family that could be upsetting this week, or causing some kind of disruption even this week. But at the end, it could just be a matter of feeling at home, doing what you need to do to create a greater sense of comfort. Now, if I go with the larger landscape, besides making this personal, there may be something when I get the home and family card, sometimes I see this as the house. And so when I'm talking about the house, I'm talking about the House of Representatives or the White House. And then this could be a man who is in the House of Representatives or the White House, and there may be some sort of shock or surprise regarding that. People may come away with that feeling a sense of upset, sadness, disappointment, and mirroring the cards potentially with a growing or developing situation. So we'll have to see what happens in that regard over the course of the week. But like I said, if we go with these three cards, then here we have something going on with an immediate family or your actual home life or your actual home that could be the cause behind something upsetting or disappointing. Okay, so now I said as I was going to conclude, I'm going to draw two cards for this to add some additional information, and we're going to go ahead and do that now. Alright, so on your screen right now you'll see the card that's going to be the above card. As I was shuffling them, in my mind I had the saying as above so below. So here we have the above card. Turn it over, and here we have the death card. Okay, so now remember, now this is what's happening. So at the top of the lightning card, and I'll just go like this for the sake of the view and the camera. So the death card is a card about something ending, something concluding, or some kind of profound change. Right? It represents a transition. So now when I get death and tree as a combination, it can literally be the ancestors, people who have come before you in your lineage. So if that idea about looking at your ancestry, your genealogy makes sense, then this is about, maybe some shock or surprise regarding ancestry, or, your lineage. And in the scenario here, it might be like somebody who may have been led to believe that their genealogy or their ancestry was one way, and then maybe in doing their research they find out something, that counters that. Kind of like this. It's kind of like something that's shocking, surprising, or some kind of maybe even a wake-up call kind of thing, right? Now we could also get that to the aspect of physical well-being, getting that shock or surprise. And it could be with the death card, I always look at the hourglass that the Reaper is holding. So for me, that always can represent something that is time sensitive, right? And so it could be a matter of, where there may be not a whole lot of time to take action on it. Right, so again, the death card can represent something coming to an end, something coming to a state of conclusion or completion, or something where the window of time may be short, which means that you don't have a whole lot of time to move through it or to handle it. Right, it's more like time being of the essence. Yeah, is what I would say. Right. So there's that. So now where the movement is going down here. So this is at the top. Then we have the shock or surprise, and then where do we go from there? Okay. So then here we have the bed card. And I'm just going to put it like this so it stays in the view. So here we have the bed card. So the bed card is about the consequences of one's actions. you could look at this. My initial intention for the card is to represent sex and sexual activity, right? Intimacy. But I've also developed another meaning for the card based on the expression, you've made your bed, now lie in it, because the bed is made in the image, right? So for me, that's about our consequences, right? So there may be some consequences, or even with the lightning card, there's going to be some fallout, right? So there may be people who are taking courses of action, or have taken courses of action that are catching up with them, right? And so now this could be a matter of consequences. And so we have a man here, the significator is the man, let's not leave that out. So this could either involve him, or that he's going to discover something, right, involving the actions of other people, and the consequences of those actions, and how he is affected or impacted by that. So either he's playing a role in that, this is going to be him moving forward, or that he is going to discover that and have to handle that. So now the other thing about the bed card, and I'll end on this note, is that because the bed is made, right, this could be about putting an issue to bed or to rest, right? And that would fit going with death, about endings, completions, right? Conclusions. This would be about putting an issue to bed or to rest. And so with that, I'm going to end this week's Oracle Outlook reading here. If you made it to this point in the video with me, thank you so much for giving me the gift of your time. I never take it lightly. And I look forward to seeing you in a future video in this space. And once again, as I wrap up, I want to thank those of you who subscribed to the channel over the course of the last couple of weeks. We are getting closer to that 5,000 subscriber milestone that I talked about. So I was just thinking yesterday that I really need to learn how to conduct a live, because it'll be my first live. I've never done one before all this time that I've been on YouTube. So again, thank you for joining the James Himm Mitchell community, if you will. I'm so glad to have you here. So again, I'm signing off. Look forward to seeing you in our next video together. And until then, have a great day and take care.